I'm supposed to be doing a new format. Then I see something like this. How can I not comment on this article? Just look at this. Look at this article. Look at this picture. Gotta say something, but I told everybody I was gonna change my content. It wasn't gonna. Look at his stupid face. I gotta stop. I'm not gonna say anything. I'm gonna stick to my guns, and I'm not gonna say anything. I'm not gonna say anything.
Why does he look like such a cream puff all the time? At first the Obama picture, he's sitting there like a little schoolgirl. Now he's here looking like a sorority sister. I just don't get it. Why is everything I see from this guy so effeminate? Why? Even just how he looks, he sits, just everything.
What I told him was true, from a certain point of view.
I feel better. All right, well, let's just get started today. I hope you had a good Lord's Day yesterday. I had probably one of the best Lord's Days I've had in a long, long, long time. We had a chance to visit some people, some brothers in the Lord. This guy is he's a solid guy. I met this couple probably like within the first weekend that I moved to Vermont. And he came to the church plant that I was one of the pastors of, him and his family. And then when that, ended, we still go to church together. We still found the same church. So we spent some time at his house after worship. We had lunch and we went sledding and stuff like that. And then the pastor came over and we started pulling the kids around in a tube on a snowmobile. It was just fantastic. And these guys live in the mountains. Like I live in New Hampshire, but lower elevation. These guys live in the mountains, so there's just tons of snow. And it was just a whole bunch of fun. I just had a great time, and we had some good conversations as well. And in the vein of my new direction, like I do want to encourage the brethren. I want to show the brothers, kind of the things that I'm talking about and thinking about. And honestly, I feel like a lot of it is stuff that many of you should be considering as well. I wanted to tell you a little bit about our conversation. Now, the brother's house that we were at, this guy he's one of those guys that's just really handy. He can build things, he can do stuff on his house, he can fix cars, very handy kind of guy. And he used to work for a multinational corporation, just one of those huge, $60 billion company kind of things. And he quit that job. It was a very stable job. And he quit it to start his own business. And it's a business that, in his own words, he says is very cancelable. And I agree. It is a very cancelable business to have, especially in liberal paradise that is Vermont. Now, I wanted to just say this, though, because he was kind of thinking, okay, well, how do I protect myself? Because I'm in a very cancelable business. But I want to make sure that I can, provide for my family in case I do get canceled. And there's a lot of options. He has an option to ride it out and see how far he can get before he gets canceled. Or he has an option to try to maybe sell the business and things like that and get what he can for it now. And he's kind of weighing this out. He's thinking to himself, how do I prepare for the coming tsunami of woke, orthodoxy, where you have to sign on the dotted line and say that LGBT is the greatest thing since sliced bread. Otherwise, you can't do business and stuff like that. And we're just kind of talking it out, you know what I mean? And to be honest, though, like what I told him, and I think he kind of was thinking the same thing, is he's actually already in a pretty decent position, even though he's in an industry that is very cancelable. And the reason is because he actually has multiple streams of income already. He does like some kind of helping out with a contractor and, does work in that regard. He also has the business that, I'm not going to name it obviously, but he's got a business on his own where it's not canceled yet. And he's still got, some income coming in from that. He also does other things like, he's got a business, a side contract business where, he helps with snow removal and stuff like that, which in our neck of the woods is, it's necessary. You need to have snow removal for apartment complexes and things of that nature. So he does that on the side as a contractor as well. And so he's got, multiple things going on. But what he's thinking is, okay, so I have to plan because, though, I could probably lose one of these things. In fact, in his mind, he thinks it's very likely he will because of the woke, tsunami that's headed our way. And so what he's doing is he's thinking ahead. And this is exactly where you want to be. You want to be having these conversations now. What do I need to do to protect myself for the coming insanity and all of that? And this is exactly the right conversations to be having. He's got a few ideas and stuff like that, but the point is, for all of you, is that you need to start thinking about this right now, because the more streams of income that you have, again, one of my friends online was saying that this is what he thinks is the best thing, and I agree. Having multiple streams of income is the best thing because it makes you less cancelable. And I think that this is the trick here, because think about what you are good at. Think about what you enjoy, and think about, how do I monetize those things? How do I make money from things that I enjoy and things that I'm good at? And so the way you do it is you start doing it on the side. So you keep your job, but you start doing it on the side. And then it kind of grows and becomes a bigger part of your income from there. And so the more that you do that, the more ideas that you have, the more things that you're able to monetize, the much easier it'll be on you if one of them goes away. It's like right now, like the most vulnerable you can be is having one stream of income, and having that stream of income at like an official corporation, a corporation that's likely to have, something for you to sign that you can't sign. And if you don't sign it, you're fired, kind of thing. Like if you work for one of those companies, any large company is like this, by the way. It's very risky to have all of your income come from one large company. If you're in a situation like that, then you need to start thinking about, how do I diversify my income streams as quickly and as efficiently as possible, because that is a very big area that a lot of Christians are exposed right now. Their income is a very big area that a lot of Christians are exposed right now. Now, let's just say for a second, though, that you don't have another possible way of earning income. That's not true, by the way. Everybody has this. But let's just say you don't have any desire, you can't think of a single skill that you can monetize, and you don't have a desire to do it. You think AD's out to lunch on this. You think you'll be just fine with your one stream of income. How do you protect yourself in that situation? Well, first of all, I would say wise up, because you probably should have multiple streams of income anyway, even if there was not a woke tsunami headed your way. But there is a woke tsunami headed your way, and so there's actually another way to protect yourself as well. Because if you are very reliant on only one stream of income, and it's like 100% of your income, and you're just not willing to get another stream of income, okay? Let's just put yourself in that situation. Some people are in that situation. I'm not saying that that's necessarily wrong. I think you should probably still consider it, but it's not necessarily wrong. What can you do? Well, the next thing you can do is get out of debt as quickly as humanly possible. And I would argue, if you're not willing to have multiple streams of income, if you're not willing to pursue that or try, you don't have the time, whatever, okay, fine. But get out of debt, including the mortgage. Because here's the thing, though, like, mortgage debt is not necessarily the worst debt ever, but if you're going to be reliant on the one paycheck, I would suggest getting out of mortgage debt as well. Because if you're out of mortgage debt, and let's just say you're out of all debt, you have no debt whatsoever, right? All of your expenses are like, I don't know, property taxes, food, clothing, stuff like that, like, basic stuff. Then if you lose your stream of income, you're not in as desperate of a situation as you would be if you could potentially lose your home as well if you don't have the income. So like when you don't have a lot of bondholders, you don't have a lot of debt to pay, people to pay, essentially, the prospect of losing your stream of income because you won't sign the woke statement is not quite as scary. You can't be as controlled. You're not as tempted to sign anyway just to get the income coming in if you don't have as many people to pay with your paycheck, right? So there's a couple different ways you can approach this. So you could either get multiple streams of income, which I think is probably the best idea, or get out of debt completely. So that way, the only thing you have to worry about monthly is eating, clothing, stuff like that. And maybe you have an emergency fund or something like that, where if you get fired or something like that, you've got runway. You've got a lot of runway that you don't have any debts to pay. All you need to do is eat and pay, buy clothing, stuff like that, taxes. you've got a lot of runway to figure out what to do next. That's the thing. You want to just like strategize with yourself. Okay, possibility of getting canceled, extreme possibility of getting canceled. How do I protect my family? How do I make it so I'm not tempted to compromise myself with the Lord? Because that's the temptation we need to avoid like the plague. Because signing on the dotted line that says LGBT is the greatest thing since sliced bread, that might save you some headaches financially in the short term. But it's never a good idea to compromise your beliefs, to compromise what God has said is true. Never a good idea in the long term to do that kind of stuff. And so I would recommend that these kinds of conversations, how do I strategically protect myself for the next year in case something insane happens? Whether there's multiple different ways you can do it, but I would suggest thinking about that the way you've never thought about it before. Like I'm having conversations in my own mind. Like I was planning on buying like a rental property or something like that, in the near future. And so I'm having a conversation in my own mind. Okay, should I do that, or should I take that money and put it in my house so that way if something were to happen and I were to get canceled, it wouldn't have many expenses to really worry about. And I'm debating that kind of stuff. I'm not not necessarily going to do that. I'm just saying these are the kinds of conversations. What is strategically the best way forward for me? And my situation with multiple streams of income, my own business, my risks are going to be different than your risks, but everyone has plans that they can make and things that they can do where they can still move forward, they can still build, they can still, generate wealth and things of that nature, but be more careful about the immediate term kind of thing, right? Maybe people always say cash is trash, right? Okay, I get it. Cash is trash. I get it. But not necessarily the worst thing in the world to hold cash if there's a chance that you're going to need it in the short term. You know what I mean? That's not necessarily the worst thing in the world. And so, if you're the kind of guy that's always trying to deploy cash to try to make additional income, that's totally fine. I'm not saying that's wrong, but what I'm saying is you need to prepare more for the eventuality that they're going to come for you. They're going to come for your income. They're going to try to cancel you. And so you want to prepare in case that happens. And so there's a different X factor these days than there used to be. There's a different risk factor than there used to be. Especially when we see how this Equality Act is gonna come out, because they're gonna do something, and we don't know how hardcore it's gonna be, but we need to prepare for that kind of thing. I was actually talking to my pastor as well. We didn't get the chance to finish the conversation, but he was asking me about what do I think the biggest threats are in the immediate term. And I don't know about you. This is not what this video is about, but I don't know about you, but I started to see some people in high places talk about making misgendering someone, labeling that as a mental disorder. So in other words, if you call that man who dresses like a woman who's going to be the health director or whatever, assistant health director, if you call her a man and you don't correct yourself kind of thing enough, then you're going to be mentally insane or mentally sick or something like that. And to me, that seems like an obvious play to start taking your kids away, right? Because you're mentally unfit to be a parent if you don't call that guy in a dress a woman. And those are the kind of plays, they're probably going to do it turning the heat up on the frog kind of thing. They're probably not going to do it immediately. It's not going to be the next day that they're going to put you in jail or they're going to take away your kids. But they're starting to prepare us. They're starting to get us used to the idea of basic Christian beliefs becoming mental disorders officially. They're trying to get us used to that idea, and so that's kind of stuff is coming as well. And so you need to start preparing, okay, how do I protect myself in that situation where all of a sudden believing basic things about gender and sexuality and basic biblical principles becomes officially, according to the United States government, a mental disorder. What do I do in that situation? A little more complicated. But you see, these are the kinds of things that we should be thinking about and we should be preparing for. I was also talking to my friend about black market and engaging in the black market and the kinds of things that you have to do. And we were talking about this little old lady that she passed away recently from pancreatic cancer, but she went to our church, and I never forget the first day I met her. She's an old lady, she kind of had like a hippie background, but she was a Christian by the time I met her. And the first day I met her, I was at She was at someone's house that I was visiting, and the first thing she says to me, "Oh, hey, would you like to buy some black market sausage?" And I'll never forget that for my whole life, because it's just a lady that you look at her, you would never expect her to say that. Like, do you want to buy some black market sausage? She was selling pork sausage illegally. And people would be, a lot of guys that look like Russell Moore would be like, "How dare you? How dare a Christian sell something illegally?" And it's like, it's time to grow a pair, Russell Moore, you know what I mean? Guys that look like him would definitely be against that, but Christians are going to have to get used to dealing on the black market, and buying and selling officially illegally. But we don't have to necessarily listen to every insane law that Daddy thinks up. I mean, if you look like this, maybe you do. He's got his daddy to answer to, of course, we could talk about that another time. I'll get that mask back on. But listen, like that's the thing. Like Christians need to get used to dealing on the black market. Like, yeah, you might have to break some laws in order to survive in the future. But hey, man, there's worse things in the world than breaking a few laws. Anyway, I hope you found this video helpful. God bless.
Honestly though, but look at him, his little hands are folded and his legs are crossed. Why does he always look like this? I don't understand it. Like, every big evil person looks like he's got little lips that are pursed.
He's just like,
He's thinking, oh,
this Donald Trump supporters. Ooh.
gay adjacent. That's the word, gay adjacent.